Hi everyone, I am Shivang Chandna, founder of Past Modern, here in conversation with Anshita, founder of Fix My Curls. Why don't you introduce yourself, please?
Hi everyone, my name is Anshita. I'm the founder of a curly and wavy hair care brand called Fix My Pearls. I started it 6 years ago when I realized that there wasn't much in the market for curly hair. And that's the basis of my story. I have very curly hair, so I knew that this was a problem I wanted to solve.
How old were you when you began the business?
I was 19.
Wow, that's very young.
Yes, it was very young and it was more of a project when I started. So I didn't start with like a business plan or any intentions to make a very large business or have a team someday. I just thought, let me make a community page, have a couple of products that I'm selling and try to fill this gap.
You began at 19, so that means you had finished school. This was 1 year of college?
Yes, a year and a half of college. And then I'd come back for a semester off. And I took this up as a project. My parents really pushed me to. And
Where did you go to college?
University of British Columbia in Vancouver.
Oh, nice. Very beautiful campus.
Beautiful campus. Yeah. I mean, I feel like everyone's there for the campus and to have fun. And honestly, while I was there, I think I had a lot of fun. And then I also realized I had no idea what I was doing. So when I took the semester off, it was more to sort of recuperate and understand, like, why am I over there spending so much money?
What were you studying?
I was studying basically mass comm.
Okay.
In like the best terms, like it was called media studies over there. And then I tried to get into the journalism school, but they only accepted, I think, 60 people and my grades weren't good enough. And then I just decided psychology kar lete hain, like because everyone does psychology. It was the easiest program to get into. And then I thought psychology was really boring. And I took a semester off and my parents were more than happy to welcome me back. They were like, why don't you think about what you're doing before you go all the way back there?
Yeah. I guess they must have realized it's very expensive for you to go and think there versus thinking.
Yeah, versus thinking here. And also, I think more than the money, because when I came back, I felt this deep guilt.
Yeah.
I knew how much money had been spent and I kept thinking, how will I ever pay them back? And obviously, they don't want me to pay them back. But it's funny, that was the thing that was on my head. How will I ever do something big enough that I can pay them back however much money they've spent? It's funny, I've paid them back maybe 40x at this point because my mom is a partner in my company. So she's like, I've made my money back for this life. You never need to pay us with anything now. But I still remember back then, that was the biggest thing I kept thinking of. Like I went there for no reason. I just thought that you have to go to college. So I went to college.
Everyone thinks that way, right?
Yeah, but now I realize that college is the most, unnecessary thing that you have to do by any means. And not everyone needs to go. And not everyone is a college type of student. I think I'm a different kind of student. I learn very differently. And that's something I realized when I started Fix My Curls. As a project, I slowly realized that this was the kind of learning I wanted to do for the rest of my life.
What school did you go to? You grew up in Delhi?
Yeah, I mean, Gurgaon. Delhi, Gurgaon, very different.
Honestly, treated as
I smell Delhi. I see like people in the comments will come for me and be like, Delhi is not Gurgaon.
I don't know. I still feel it's like it's one big thing, but sure.
I wish, but I feel like there is like...
There's a difference?
There's a difference for sure. But I went to Pathways World School, Aravalli. So...
That's an IB program, right?
Yes. So I did IB my whole life, basically. So I grew up in Cambodia, in Phnom Penh.
You were born there?
I was born in Banaras, then moved to Cambodia while I was still like a year old. Grew up in Cambodia until I was 8, turning 9. And then we moved back to Gurgaon, out of all places. And
why Cambodia?
So my dad has a pharma business there. Basically, he exports pharmaceuticals from India and sells them there under different brand names. So that was the first business he started. And he initially started working like for someone, then took the leap of starting his own business. And then we were there for those 8 years while he worked that out. And then once his business had sort of started running, he wanted to come back here to sort of spend more time with his own parents because he was like, I've already spent 8-9 years away. So we came back and then my mom was like, I want to start a business. And so my dad helped fund her business and eventually she helped fund mine.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming your first memory must be of Cambodia and not Banaras?
I remember Banaras a little bit.
You were less than 1 year old?
1 year old, but we would go back every like summer vacation and stuff. And I remember some of it for sure. I remember the house and everything. But yes, most of my core memories are of Cambodia for sure. I grew up in a very slow, like it was slow living. You call it slow living now, but it was actually just slow living there. I would walk as a 5, 6 year old. I would walk on the streets alone with like $10. They use dollars there, by the way. Like
Even now?
even now, USD, yeah. So I would just have $10 with me as like my pocket money for the whatever, I guess, month.
What is Cambodia like? Like, explain to me.
So it was colonized by the French a really, really long time ago. There's a lot of expats there. There's a lot of Cambodians as well, but the expats are the people putting their kids in like British schools. So
Economic gap between the
there
expats
is, and you can evidently see that. And they're also come there to live that slow life. There used to be a lot of just trees everywhere. We didn't even have a mall. I left and there was the first mall was built a few years later. So when I came to Gurgaon, I remember I went to Ambience Mall and I was like,
This is massive.
this is crazy. Because there the shopping was basically there was this place, and you should search this up. It's called Russian Market. I think it's shut down now. But it was there for a long time, and all of the Zara and H&M rejected stuff would come over there.
Yeah.
And a lot of stuff is made in Cambodia as well.
A lot of these countries are like the big consumption for rejected garments.
Exactly. So I would go there. I mean, I was like 6 years old, 5, 6 years old. I would go with a friend. We'd like look at like bikinis and like all of these things. And I don't know. I mean, I was exploring the world at a very young age. I would go there and buy jewelry and like watches and God knows whatever I could get in $2-3. Like every month I'd be collecting things, and it was just a lot of fun. And I grew up really fast. Like I feel like because I was there, because I had a lot of freedom. My parents never controlled whose house I was going to. I was allowed to go sleep over from the age of 5.
You have any siblings?
I do have a younger brother. So he was born when I was 5 only.
Also born in Cambodia.
Yeah, he was actually born
in
there.
Cambodia.
Yeah. But he has an Indian passport. Yeah. So I don't know. I think I had a lot of friends also that were very, I don't want to say the word open, but like their families were very chill. It was just very different. I think I had a lot of French friends as well.
So you used to realize it's different only when you came to India, right?
Yeah,
So
now
that's
when I look back, I'm like, I was doing things that I think people hope to do if they move to Europe someday, but I was doing that as a kid. Just
as a 5, 6-year-old, I wasn't going out and shopping and like buying things for myself.
I was. And now that I look back at it, I'm like, it's because it was so safe. Everyone knew everyone in that entire like vicinity. Imagine like a colony here would be a large part of like an area there, because it's a lot smaller as well. And everyone knew me. I mean, today I still remember, like, I went in 2018 and a few of the shopkeepers recognized me.
Wow.
From when I was a kid. And I knew they recognized me because they never moved from there. They're still there. And I just feel like now, yes, there's buildings and like, it's not slow moving anymore. There's a lot of traffic. Things have changed. But
I'm also assuming post-COVID, a lot must have changed with these shopkeepers too.
I'm guessing so, but I haven't gone post-COVID. It's been a really long time since I've gone. But yeah, I remember Cambodia as sort of the place where I got the freedom to just grow up and be who I was going to be. And like, I had the internet. So yeah, I could do anything on the internet. I was always on like Club Penguin, or like, I remember when I was 12, I was on Tumblr. I had a blog. Nice. I was always writing on that blog. And then I was on Instagram really fast as well. I was on Facebook from the very beginning. I was 9 when I was on Facebook. My parents...
I think India also came 2010, 11.
Yeah. So my parents never stopped me from doing anything, to be super honest with you. Especially with the sleepovers thing and stuff. They just trusted that like I was in good hands. I can make my own decisions. And I think that's also why with Fix My Curls, they were just like, we know whatever she's doing.
You'll figure it out.
She'll figure it out. So I think that trust has been really important. And that's also why I was like, okay, it's fine that at the age of 19, instead of being in some foreign country, partying it up with strangers, I'm going to stay at home and have a bedtime and wake up and try to build something. And it was hard because like everyone else I knew found it very odd that I was suddenly leaving that to be here. And they were like, why? What are you even doing?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously today they're like, oh,
It makes sense.
wow. You know, like, oh my God, you were just 19. And I'm like, yeah, but back then nobody really supported it.
I want to get back to that and know if that changed the dynamic between like just the relation and like how you view them now and how they view you now. But
Yeah. So I had a lot of friends in college that sort of stopped talking to me. And that's okay. I think I overnight changed as a person and decided that I wanted to start something.
it was that quick.
Yes, it was that quick. And I'm a very decisive person, which is also sometimes a bad thing because I think sometimes it's good to just sit back and think about the decision a little bit more. But for me, it's very intuitive. And I still remember that entire year of 2019, I kept telling myself I'll go back to college somehow, some college. So I got into the University of Westminster. I convinced myself I want to be in their journalism program. I spoke to the head of admissions. I gave it multiple interviews and I got into their second year. They had like 2-3 slots. Then
That would be a 3-year program, right? So you would only have 2 more years then.
Yeah. Not even, 2 more years. Yeah.
Because UBC would be a 4-year program.
Yes. Yeah. So I was actually cutting it short,
Yeah.
honestly. But, and I remember I'd put down the deposit for the room and the visa. I'd gotten the visa. And then it was August 2019. We'd gone live on Amazon and my flight was September 12th or something. We did, I think, 35,000 rupees in revenue in August, and we were on track to do 60,000 rupees in September. This is a week before. And my dad sits me down and he's like, "Waise, kyun ja rahe ho?" And I was like, "What do you mean, kyun? I have to do this."
Yeah.
I need a degree. Who is going to take me seriously? And I was like, I'll run Fix My Curls from London and it'll work out. He was like, I don't think anybody's going to pay you this much money when you come back from your degree, just by the way. The job market is not easy. And he was like, journalists struggle. And I was like, And I really thought about it. And I remember going and looking at Amazon Seller Central and realizing that these were real people who placed orders and I wasn't even running ads. And I was like, okay, there's something here. And then I remember that day it's really silly, but we had to go watch a movie. And I told my parents, I can't watch a movie right now. I have too much on my mind. You guys go. So my ticket had gone to waste and they got really upset with me. They were like, okay, when we come back, you better have a decision. So yeah, I remember I sat with myself and I thought, I wrote a pros and cons list. And the first thing, the thing that kept repeating itself was how much people will judge me. And I was like, so that's what I'm worried about, is other people's judgment. It's not really that I actually want to complete this degree or experience life outside India. I already had. It's fine. It's good. Cleaner air, probably. That's the main thing. But I realized
more open people.
More open people.
More sleepovers at friends' house.
More sleepovers. Definitely. It's safer. But then I just thought to myself and I was like, okay, if nobody was going to judge me, would I do this? And I was like, yeah, I would do this. I would run with it.
And you were very mature as a 19-year-old person.
I think I always have been a little bit more. I overthink a lot. So then I end up thinking just about...
You've thought beyond years now.
Yes, beyond years. So these were all the thoughts going through my head. And I remember this day specifically because I knew I was making a very big decision. And if I was going to let go of doing this, then I was like, I can't leave the country and go somewhere else. I'm going to have to stick to this decision. And I'm going to have to make it work. And then if people make fun of me or throw jabs at me later, oh, you shouldn't have left that degree, I'm going to have to deal with it. Even if this fails, it's okay. So I told myself all of that and that's it. I just made the decision. And from that day onwards, I started taking it a little bit more seriously. And I had a friend who helped me with graphic design. And then I started working out of a Starbucks. And yeah. By the way, I continued to do my degree for a year more online. I still couldn't let it go.
With UBC?
No, I moved my credits from UBC to Penn State.
Okay.
And they had an online campus and they had a journalism degree and they took me in the second year. Everything, in a sense, worked out. I did one more year and then I technically I did 3 semesters in 1 year. I stopped studying for the entirety of 2020. Then 2021 January, I had 3 employees and they were all remote and they were all ready to come to office. And I was like, oh my God.
You didn't have an office then?
No. For about a year and 4 or 5 months, I didn't have an office space. I used a room in my mom's warehouse for the packers. I had one packer, and there was one person in their office who was helping me with Amazon Seller. I didn't have a website. I started the website shortly, like after realizing that, okay, like I don't want to give all my commission to Amazon. I want to try this website thing. And then I hired a few people. All of it sort of just organically was happening, and it was COVID, right? So I had so much time. And then I started putting myself out there on Instagram. All of this was happening. We gained followers. We crossed 20,000 followers that year. And I was like, okay, I can't study anymore. And I remember
now it's a serious business.
Yeah, now it's a serious business. And I remember that year, that financial year 2020 to 21, we did 1.2 crores. And I was like, this is a crore. I didn't even understand what that meant. And we were very profitable. And my parents were shocked because they were like, have you put any thought into this at all? And I was like, not really. And it was all based on content. I mean, I just loved creating content. I loved talking to people about product and helping them like learn about their hair. And apparently that converted into a lot of organic sales. And trust me, I didn't look at any of the funnels. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. This was purely like one of those cases of posting a lot on social media, and somehow I had the right call to action every time. I only realized that in 2021 once I had a team and I gathered people, and my accountant was like, you did like a 25 like after everything. And I was like, really? And he was like, yeah, like that's your money, just by the way. And because I didn't pay myself a salary either. I was like, what's the point of me paying myself a salary? I was very like, because I didn't study business either. And then I was like, okay, mom, dad, can you mentor me? Because
they've been running a business. So
yeah, I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. And that's sort of where the real journey began. So 2021 was the year I started taking.
Do you take a salary now?
Yes.
And how do you feel about it?
I feel like I'm an employee. No, I really am an employee. It's a private limited company now. It was an LLP then. And before the LLP, I had a sole proprietorship as well.
I think everyone goes through the same right
Yeah.
now.
I mean, I wish I had done the sole proprietorship to private limited one.
I would have done this year.
Good for you. I did an LLP in the middle and I regret it.
I don't know. Why did you think of doing an LLP?
Yeah. Okay. I think no one in my family thought that the business would become large enough for me to raise money.
Mm-hmm.
And when it came to raising money, my investors were like, sorry.
Private limited.
Oh,
so you went with your pitch decks with an LLP? Wow.
And they were like, transition karo. I was like, transition? And once I started the transition, it took 7 months.
To transition the existing LLP to a private limited? Or did you open a
new one?
Yeah, that makes more sense.
Yeah, I opened a brand new
That's what I've
private limited. Yeah, because yes, you can transition.
I heard it's a
private limited, but it's a terrible process. Exactly. And they promise you all these things ki 2-3 mahine mein ho jayega, but I don't trust anyone in India when they say that. If they say 2-3 mahine, take it as 6-7 months.
No timeline can ever be trusted in India.
No, you just can't. Yeah.
Case in point, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, no timeline can be trusted, literally. But yeah, I don't know. This is how all of it happened. It's a very like here and there story, but when I look back, everything makes sense in perspective. Yeah.
Well, let's go back to childhood years. I know everyone has this one idea when they're growing up that I want to be X, Y, Z. I want to be in this profession or what. What were your like first ideas? And has there been one profession that you thought as a kid that that's who I want to be?
So I always wanted to be on camera. And my parents knew this because like, it was very random, but from a very young age, like I would just talk in different languages and pretend I was a journalist or I was an news anchor. I was like telling people about the weather. I don't know. I really wanted to be on TV for some reason, for any reason. I was just like, I just want to be seen. It's funny now, my job is to be on camera like 90% of the time. I always have to create content and I need to put myself out there, but I think I saw it very differently before.
Have you come to understand why you wanted to be seen?
I think that probably goes into like, I don't know, wanting to be accepted by other people. I think it's the people pleaser in me that wants to be seen, probably that. Lots of therapy has definitely taught me that. I'm a big fan of it. But that's probably it. Yeah. I think I just wanted other people to say, oh, you're doing great.
You're verified.
Yes, verified.
We're certified good.
Yeah. And I think that's also, I'm a very like type A. I don't celebrate anything for more than 24 hours because I'm like, bas ho gaya, let's move on to the next thing. Like, even with Forbes, I only celebrated a day. And I met some people a week later and they were like, congratulations. And I was like, for what? And they were like, it just happened. And I'm like, but it's gone.
This was 30 under 30, India and Asia, right?
Yeah.
They both happened together.
India happened in January. Asia, I found out about the day I was celebrating India. I got an email about Asia and I was like, shit,
Wow.
I can't tell anyone. And I remember I told my boyfriend and he was just like, Anshita, shut your mouth. Don't tell anyone because nazar lag jayegi. This is too big. Keep it to yourself until it genuinely happens. Just don't talk to anyone about it. I was like, okay, you're right. I should.
What's the gap between the email and it genuinely happening? Like them putting out the post?
So I got the email in Feb and then it genuinely happened in May. And in the middle of that, the photo shoot happened. And obviously throughout that process, you're not allowed to talk about the fact that it's happening at all. Because they're like, oh, until the list comes out, you're not actually in the list. And we can't verify that you are. So throughout the process, and this is the same thing with India, even though the shoot happens, you meet all these people, like there will be very cool people on the list that will be there doing the photo shoot, but still they'll tell you this is not sure, by the way. You could not be on it. And you're just like, but why am I here for these photos then? But I was like, you know what, I'm not going to take a chance. They're very serious about this. The process is so extensive. I mean, I
can you apply for it or do they select you?
So I applied for Asia and India for the last 5 years. Since I turned 20 and took things seriously, I was like, I want to be in 30 under 30. So I applied for both lists. I never heard back, and you don't hear back unless they want to reach out to you. And that's their way of saying no, by the way. There is no actual no that comes your way. You just have to understand, okay, the night has passed. No responses, no response. Yeah, I guess. No responses, no response. So, no, but this time what happened was I forgot to apply for India.
Mm-hmm.
I was on a
5 years, you must have felt like, peak ab.
No, you know, the funny thing is I had the application open on my laptop. I missed the date. I felt really stupid about it. And then I was back in India from my trip and I get a call from this editor that I had been talking to about a very different article for almost 1 year. It never happened. And I was like, okay, it's okay. He called me up and he's like, did you nominate yourself for Forbes this year? I was like, no, actually I didn't. I forgot. He was like, great, you're my nomination. I was like, really? Like, okay, what do you need from me? And he asked me a few questions very quickly, like summary. Kitta revenue kiya? Were you profitable? How many people do you have in your team? I was like, okay, done. He was like, okay, if it happens, I'll be giving you a call in 15 days. If I don't give you that call, it didn't happen. Bye. I was like, okay, thanks. Very straightforward guy. Then yes, 15 days later, I got the call. Literally 15 days later. And it was the 30th of December. I got the call. I was crying and I was really happy because he called me and he was like, buddy, it's done. And I was just like, oh my God, okay. And honestly, I was very happy with that. I was like, I'm on the India list. What more can I ask for? The day the India list comes out, and I'm going for a celebratory dinner with my friends. I'm at the gym. I see an email and I run out. My trainer thinks I'm crazy. And I call up my boyfriend and I'm like, listen, can you read this email? I'm shaking. I don't know. Is this what I think it is? And he reads it and he's like, yeah, it is. But hold your horses. Be normal. Stay cool. And I was like, okay, so I can't bring this up. And he was like, there's no way you can bring this up because just don't jinx it. Because abhi, like everything was remaining, by the way. This is just the part where they sort of shortlist you and then they say you need to fill out this huge form. After that, if they like the form that you filled, they do an interview. Okay. That's interview 1. If they like you in interview 1, they do interview 2. Interview 2 ke baad, many questions to verify everything you're saying. Oh. And then possibly you're on the list.
Wow.
And also not everyone gets called for the shoot, for the Asia one, because it's across Asia. It's hard for them to do like a collaborative shoot. So only a few people get to be like clicked.
It happens in one city, like, or
they do it in your city. They have different photographers across Asia. So I remember when they told me about that also, I was like, wait a second. And then I checked all their issues. Because I was like, how many people get photographed for Asia? India ke liye to sab hota hai, usually. Asia, very few people. Then in my head, I was like, oh my God, okay, does this mean I will be like the first person in the list? Like, although that doesn't mean anything, they don't number it, but being the spotlight person for a specific category had always been my dream. It obviously didn't happen for India, but I was like, oh, maybe this is what's happening. That is what happened. But yeah, until the date came out, I remember I woke up at 8 a.m. and someone had messaged me saying, is that you? And I was like, oh my God, the issue is out. Like, they don't even tell you when it's coming out. But yeah, I think that was a very, very happy day. And I was in shock all day, basically, because I was just like, I can't believe this is happening. And they put me on multiple banners and they don't tell you all of this. So I was opening up the page and it was my face. And I was like, this is like going to be there on the internet for a really long time. But yeah, I think once those two things got checkmarked, I was like, okay.
What's next?
I was like, what's next? And what's next is a lot is next. But no, I mean, my friends were all like, you always do this. You don't celebrate at all. You undermine yourself. It happens. The biggest thing happens and then you're just like, yay. And then you move on the next day. I'm like, but then how do I do better and greater things? Like, this is never going to be the greatest thing that's happened to me. It's one of the great things. But I think that because that's when my thought process, it's good and bad, but I never stop wanting something bigger, something better. I don't know if that's a great thing, but...
Seems like a great thing as an entrepreneur, right?
As an entrepreneur,
you don't have like a fixed
as a human being, it's not the best because you never take a break. You never sit down and really go over your achievements. But I guess entrepreneurs also fail so much that every achievement feels like a fluke. And only an entrepreneur knows what I mean when I say that. Someone that's climbing the corporate ladder will never understand because they don't fail as much. They'll get one bad review or feedback from a manager and be so upset for
the salary still gets credited, right?
Yeah.
So
if we make a mistake or we have a bad day, we have to deal with that bad day. We have to give bad feedback.
It's very translated into like what shows up on the balance sheet and just like how everything functions, right?
Yeah. And so much more, right? Like you hire someone, they have a bad mood. You have to deal with their bad mood. You have to help them feel better so that they do a good job, so that your business does well. It's all connected. And you can't shut off and sit down and be like, I don't want to do this. No, you have to do it. Doesn't matter. And I think every week something horrible happens. At this point, I'm just like, anything good happening is truly just good luck. I'm grateful, but we move on. We don't ruminate too much on the good things.
We move on to set the next fire out.
Yeah. Because there are too many fires, and I'm sure you know that. There's always a fire.
Well, I think I'm still early in my entrepreneurial journey, but I have a lot to learn from you, which is why this is very fun.
Well, there's always a fire. That's what I'll tell you. So be prepared.
You moved back to Gurgaon 2009. How was that transition, moving in India, living in India?
Horrible. Because I spoke French and English as a 9-year-old with very curly hair. I looked different. I didn't look Indian. A lot of people would make fun of me and be like, it's just very racist jokes. And I think...
Even do you think you were, ethnically?
Probably African is what they used to try to make the joke about. And I was just like, okay, this is extremely racist. But as a kid, you don't say anything because you want to make friends and you don't want to be the outcast.
You want to fit in?
Yeah, you just want to fit in a little bit. But I never fit in, and that was the truth of it. I was always very loud at 7 a.m. in the morning in the hallways. I was always very excited, very animated. And truthfully, I think I didn't want to be like a small person, but I always assumed that I don't fit beauty standards, so I'm just going to be a small person. And it took completing school here, and I made really amazing friends. They're still my best friends today. And school eventually became okay because I learned Hindi and then I sort of started to fit in, but I had to forget French to learn Hindi. And then it was okay. But I think leaving here and going to Vancouver was what I needed then because I saw so many people with curly hair and I was like, wow, I am so normal. And seeing that, I think, changed everything. Yeah. Because it was my hair. My hair was my biggest insecurity for the longest time. I got it chemically smoothened for prom because everyone was going to prom. And I was like, oh, no one's going to want to go to prom with me. And I was dating someone then. And I was like, he's not going to want to go with me.
Because of the hair?
Yeah. And also because he would say things like, you look so much better with straight hair. So I was like, and now I see that as the biggest red flag. But I think when you're 15, you think that you have to impress the boy. So I straightened my hair, and I know so many girls will relate to this one. And yeah, I showed up to school one day with straight hair and everybody loved me. And then the next 1 year, I kept the facade going. And then eventually, by the time I graduated, even on the day of my graduation, I straightened my hair. And I remember once I finally left school, I grew my hair out normal. And they came back curly, as they always did. And I let it go. I was like, okay, this is just who I am. It's fine.
Why did you break up with the guy? And that's why you were just like...
Oh, yeah. That lasted like a very short while. I dated many guys after that who never said that about my hair.
That became your prerequisite then.
Yeah.
You have to be comfortable with it.
Yeah, you need to be comfortable with exactly how I look. Also because my hair is actually like triple this size when it's not styled. I have a lot of just hair on my head, and any guy I'm with just needs to be cool with it. And there are much better people. But also I don't blame anyone because in school it was just a thing. There were all these preset notions that you have to like a girl who looks like this. And
also, I think in like media, in like films or anywhere, we haven't seen anyone who really embraces their curls.
No, and curly hair is portrayed as like the villain or the crazy person or the person who's sort of lost their mind. Yeah. And suddenly they've brushed out their hair and they look a little crazy. I think that's always been the narrative, and which is also why it took me so many years to grow this community and change that narrative and put myself out there, because I need to show people that I am comfortable with my hair for them to feel comfortable with theirs.
No, I know, because I think in school, I used to have a lot of female friends who would have curly hair, who would straighten them out. And sometimes they'd talk about it and I would just say, what's wrong with having curly hair? And it would always be like, you don't understand. It's a problem.
Yeah.
And I could never really know why it was such a big concern, but I think it's more because of what they felt people thought of them or beauty standards that they had in their own head.
It's more what you see on TV, movies. You immediately assume this must be true. But it's a narrative that's set to benefit very large multinational corporations that want you to change yourself a lot in ways that feel permanent but never can be. Because curly hair, just like a lot of other things, are genetic and they're going to come back. Like just the way that you can't change the natural tone of your skin, you can't change your hair either. Like your texture is going to be your texture.
One would think products are made for people, but it seems like sometimes products become so big as like a business that they try to fit in more people into their market, which is terrible.
Yeah. But I think that's just how it is. And I feel like that's why brands like mine, although I didn't have the budgets or the visibility early on, what we did have was very strong messaging, and the mission and vision was very straightforward, that we want you to embrace your natural hair. And obviously we had to help a lot of people figure out what that even meant, because they were like, what is my natural hair? It looks just frizzy and dry. What does that mean? And I was like, okay, frizzy and dry usually translates to either wavy or curly hair. And then, people just needed to trust someone. And I think they began to trust me. And obviously that required me to really love myself. But the cool thing is, and I look back at a lot of stories in the archives now, like from 6 years ago, I was growing out my hair then. So I would go live on Instagram and I would like talk to people and be like, today I'm deep conditioning my hair. I'll show you guys how it looks. And then I would rinse it out and come back and be like, okay, this is how it looks. And like all of this stuff that I think I took them with me through that, and they've seen me grow up on camera. A lot of people in the community have. So yeah, they were a lot older than me as well. I was just a 19-year-old. Like I truly was just building an Instagram page, but it became a lot more than that.
So you finished school, you graduated, decided to go to college, came back, and then thought about doing a project, trying to solve a problem. Was curly hair the first thing that was on your mind?
Yeah. I didn't think about keywords like frizzy hair, dry hair, etc. I just thought curly hair. And I think it was because I associated curly hair with myself. And I thought, let me try to solve this first because I understand this very closely. I don't know much about other hair. And it took me years to learn about wavy hair, why frizz happens, why some hair is drier than other hair, and can you in the long term fix it?
Yeah, talk to me about it. Like first few months when you were researching, were you trying to understand what is the root of the problem or the cause? How does it happen? So this is also like formulation, right? Like,
Yeah.
and you haven't studied chemistry or anything, right?
No.
So how do you come up with like a product that actually solves this problem?
So first things first is that curly hair, wavy hair, and straight hair all just differentiate in your hair follicle. It's the shape of the follicle, which is at the root. And from there, these natural oils get excreted and they sort of come down through the lengths of your hair. With straight hair, it gets very oily very fast because the oil slides right off from your scalp. And that's why your hair looks very oily and they wash it every day. So they don't deal with dryness necessarily. They deal with oily hair that doesn't have volume and is flat. Versus curly and wavy hair, that natural sebum never reaches down.
Okay.
So that's why our hair just looks drier and the hair then reaches out for moisture in the air. And so that's where frizz comes in. So your hair is literally reaching out for moisture. And so the frizz sort of makes your hair look poofier, larger, and like it doesn't have shape.
This is also, I'm assuming, a bigger problem in like humid spaces.
Yes. So your hair reaches out even further, which is why they get a little bit larger when there's like a lot of humidity. Right when it rains, your hair will suddenly poof up a little bit. But so yeah, I mean, this was the main differentiator. Once I learned that, I was like, okay, so this is genetic. We can't really do much about it, but we can problem solve and deal with it on a weekly, daily basis. And you sort of have to not use heat, which is what all curly and wavy hair people do, is we pick up the straightener or the blow dryer. We go to the salon, get a blow dry every time our hair is washed to sort of deal with it. Then we don't wash for 7 days because our scalps don't get oily. So we can literally make a blow dry last 7 days. I know many people that do that. They'll go on vacation with one blow dry and come back with the same blow dry. They just won't dump their head in the water.
Wow.
Yeah, because our scalps don't get oily. They have buildup and dandruff and dryness, and they get flaky as well, but they don't get oily. So anyway, once I learned that, I looked into multiple product formulations. I just started by reading the back of the label and then searching up individual ingredients and understanding
what brands that were trying to combat these challenges.
Yes,
there were Indian brands doing it?
No Indian brands. There were only brands in the US, UK, Canada. So lots of these brands, and I looked at the ones that were a little bit cheaper. I looked at the expensive ones as well. I ordered a variety for R&D, and that was the main budget I was allowed by my mother.
You had not used any of these products before?
I had, but I had never thought about why it's working or how it works or can it work better. I very half-heartedly used some curl cream or some mask, and it kind of did the job. But then I was like, oh, अच्छे results नहीं आ रहे हैं. And then that's when I started to study it. And the study honestly was just 100 different YouTube videos of people with curly hair who knew what they were doing, who had also learned. I learned about this thing called the curly girl method, where you don't use shampoos with harsh sulfates, you don't use conditioners with silicones, all of this. And then I was like, okay, I tried the method, I liked it, it worked. Some of the products worked. I created a routine. I was like, I want to sell people a routine. I don't want to sell them just one solution because one size fits all didn't make sense to me. So I came up with 2 shampoos, a conditioner, a leave-in cream, and a gel. So I was introducing styling products into the market for the first time. And it's funny, while I was formulating, Arata, a competitor, launched their products. I even used their very original formulations, and I've told them also I love them. They were one benchmark. Then another competitor brand also came out in the same week I launched. So then that year...
how many people with curly hair in India?
So today, the number for wavy and curly haired people is that 85% of the country has some type of hair texture ranging from light waves to very curly hair. And the number that we have is about 30% of that 85% are actively embracing a curly hair routine right now in the country.
And the others don't know that there should be a
No.
routine that can...
Yeah, they don't know.
Okay.
So there, you just need to
And up
spend
until
money.
2018, 2019, there weren't even many products in India that were effectively dealing with this problem.
No.
Wow.
There were 3 brands in 2019. And it's funny, but like most gels and creams would target men because you guys set your hair with like a wax or a gel. And those products work really well for curly hair actually, because we also have to set and lock in moisture in the hair.
Basically holds...
Yes. Yeah. So it forms a cast around the hair and then your hair sort of stays like this. So you use a leave-in cream to lock in the moisture first and then the gel to seal it all in and sort of close the coil. So then this coil will form and this stays because of the gel. Like you can also use just a leave-in cream, but then these will fall flat by tomorrow.
But then gel usually, whenever I've applied as a young person, I always felt it would make my hair like very stiff, right? So I always thought it was never like healthy.
So most gels use either like very drying alcohols in them or silicones. We use neither. There are different formulations that don't need a drying alcohol, but drying alcohols say the stiffness and the dryness really, you can really feel it. But if you touch my hair, it's really soft. And a lot of people, when they touch my hair, they're a little bit shocked. They're like, oh, I thought that they would be really like crunchy and weird. I was like, no, I mean, they're not. And I think that was also something that I learned back then, that, okay, gels aren't the enemy. And like literally flaxseed gel is something you can make at home. It has a very stretchy texture. It's one of our best-selling products, our flaxseed jelly. We literally soak flax seeds overnight. And then that's how the gel is made in water, like these large tubs. It's a very organic process. There's someone manually just mixing it. Yeah. So, I mean, I think I studied a lot of it through YouTube, a lot of Google searches on individual ingredients. And I had a lot of support from the head of our factory, basically, Fixderma's factory. And he jumped at the opportunity. He was like, okay.
I was about to ask, like, how did you figure out manufacturing in the entire process?
Yeah, so manufacturing, my parents had set up a manufacturing unit in 2014. So almost 4 or 5 years in, I was lucky enough to have access to that unit. And I would go there all the time. It's in Neemrana. And I would literally watch the products being made. I could try them on the spot, play around with fragrances, and give good feedback. I think feedback was really critical then, and that was something only I could give because none of them understood what the hell I was trying to get them to make. So then I said, look, I'll try all the samples and give you feedback and show you also how I have to use it. I went multiple times and did trials. And then we also bought like human hair wigs that were curly, and then they test the product on it and leave the coil and see how many days it was lasting. And then very basic stability tests were also done to see if the product would last in like different temperatures.
This was 5 products that you built out?
Yeah, 5 products. So there was a 5-step routine.
The first few months when you were researching and everything. So 2019?
Yeah, 5 products, 6 months to formulate. August 2019, we launched on Amazon with a 5-step routine. Then a month later, I launched all of the products individually. And then by October, all of the consumers had given me feedback, ki listen, this 5-step routine is, you're charging us 4,000 rupees for it. Can you launch a 50 ml tiny version of it?
These were all 100 ml?
These were all 250 ml. A lot of product.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So then after that, I was like, okay, I'm clearly selling too much product in one go. And I didn't understand the concept of like, I thought ki 4,000 rupees, $40, 5 product, bahut acha hai. And then I was in India and I was like, okay, price sensitivity. I need to fix this. Then yeah, I launched the 50 ml sizes. They quickly became our bestsellers. And then the next year, I launched 2 more styling products, which were more moisture rich. The first 2 I launched were protein rich. And then I started to differentiate our entire product line by moisture or protein rich.
Explain to me, what is the difference?
So moisture products just contain more ingredients that focus on sort of hydration and giving you that moisture retention so that your hair looks and feels softer, versus protein products focus on building the bonds of your hair. They focus more on breakage. If you have very thin hair and you have colored it, and basically if you know about Olaplex, protein-rich products, Olaplex is very protein-rich. So you just use different protein ingredients And that's sort of what goes in protein products. It's just a combination of ingredients, basically.
If I were to simplify it, would it be that one is more repair and the other is more styling?
They both are styling. However, one, yes, focuses more on repair and bond building, and the other focuses more on dryness and are heavier products, basically. So if you have coarser hair, you would use the moisturizing products.
Mhm.
If you have thinner, finer hair that is more damaged and needs repair, you would use the protein-rich products. So that's sort of the main data between the two. And that's when I thought, I decided, okay, I'm going to launch products that are moisture-rich or protein-rich, and that's how we'll move forward. So the next year, I launched our Curl Quenching Moisture Duo, which today is our bestseller. We sell almost 20,000 moisture duos every month, and it takes up like 40% of our entire revenue.
Wow.
Just these two products. And those also I launched. One of them is the flaxseed jelly that I was talking about. And I launched those because of consumers telling me to. They were like, hey, the leave-in cream and gel you have is good, but it's not heavy enough. I have very thick, coarse hair, and I feel like they're still a little bit dry. I was like, oh, but it works really well for me. And then I realized I have very fine hair. So when my hair is wet, it's really scanty and fine. And as it dries, it becomes very large. But a lot of people have very thick, coarse hair. So for them, I launched these two products and they became our heroes. And today they're still our heroes and nothing is able to really move
You
them.
were the sole employee throughout this process?
Yeah, that year I was a sole employee. I didn't need anyone else. I mean, I had this app on my phone called PixArt, just where you could do all of the things Photoshop does. And I knew how to use Photoshop and I knew how to use Premiere Pro also. But PixArt was amazing. It was life-changing. And he's nodding. So I used PixArt and I would create renders on my own, white background pe photo kheench ke,
That,
green.
putting social media posts.
Yeah, I did everything.
I'm assuming Amazon, you were running the back end.
No. So the backend, I had help. Of course, I was looking at all of the listings, all of the content, all of the images that had to go on each listing. However, actual Seller Central and running the budgets, that we only started from like actually putting money. Maybe 2 months in, once we launched the 50-gram sizes, we started putting in a little bit of money. And again, my budget was at 10,000 rupees a month because I was like, okay, I don't want to spend like crazy. Whatever I'm making, I'm going to put some back. And I had someone, honestly, amazing guy. He still works at Fixed Derma for my mom. He had come in at a very junior role and he was very good at Amazon Seller Central. He said, I'll take Fix My Curls as a project.
That wasn't your hire?
No.
Okay.
They all did it for free. And I would show up to office every day. So I started working out of Fixed Derma as well sometimes. And sometimes I'd work at home when I wanted like peace and quiet. So I started going to Fixed Derma and I was working with all these 40-year-olds, basically 35, 40-year-olds. I would have lunch with them every day. They all became my friends. I remember I threw them a party also when we hit like, I think we did 40 lakhs that year. I threw them a party because I was like, I literally don't pay any of you and you go out of your way to build this second brand for me. Super thankful to all of them still. But it's Pankaj. He is the one who did all of our Amazon sales. So shout out to him. But yeah, he single-handedly grew us on Amazon.
And someone was handling dispatch and packaging.
One person was handling dispatch and packaging in the warehouse.
That was last year also. You know what happened? Pichle saal bika nahi inka, so they made it a trend again this year because everyone had stock. That's what happened.
But a yellow orange.
Orange, yeah.
Orange is coming in. I think red will have its moment.
But it always sells.
Red always sells, yeah. But I feel like
red
because of orange, people are feeling bold enough to wear a
This will transition to a brown by the time winter comes.
Yes, exactly. Brown, I feel, comes every year at the same time.
So brown from our brand does really well. And I think I was one of the first to do a lot of brown pieces because I felt, one, it was part of the branding color, and second, it's like being brown. I also think brown as a color is like very rich. Like it always gives off a very rich vibe.
It does. It does.
And I think
very good together.
It's like stark in terms of a black. Like everyone wears a black, but I think when you wear a brown, it feels like you've given it more.
Brown is one of my favorite colors.
And it pairs well with like a lot of colors.
Everything. Black, denim, like you can do night, day, doesn't matter. But yeah, no, I think I'm a very pop culture kid in that sense. I feel like I have a vision and I need to work with people who understand that vision. And that vision sometimes just starts off as a thought. I'm a very rambly person. I was told I have ADHD in 2019 only. That's also when I started therapy. My psychiatrist was very key, like, no, it's very different for women. It's not the same as men. And
so do you have ADHD or no?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah. And for years I was like, no. you have misdiagnosed me. It's anxiety. And at the time, it was anxiety also, but he was like, you're masking it. You have ADHD. And I was like, I don't believe you. Now, 6 years later, my therapist still tells me, and she's known me for almost 5 years at this point. So I trust her. She's like, no, you do. But it's not the way it shows up in men that you're hyperactive. You just are extremely hyper-focused. And work is what drives you, which is also why you love having multiple projects at the same time. Even though it stresses you out to an extreme amount, I think that's what keeps you interested. Otherwise, you'd get bored.
I've come to understand as a person that you're very good at explaining things. You explained the whole formulation to me. Explain to me what being anxious is. Because I know a lot of people who have anxiety, but they're never able to phrase it very well. I think that also makes them anxious. So it's very hard to touch that topic. But if you can, I'd love to know.
So anxiety is more, it's a feeling that builds up. And there are a few types of anxieties. There's a generalized anxiety disorder where most things make you anxious, even though once you do that thing, like meeting someone new, you're already anxious about it. You've overthought. There's a loop going on in your head. Oh, what am I going to say? Should I shake their hand or hug them? What will I do? All of these random...
All micro decisions.
Micro decisions. You're already planning how it's going to go.
Yeah.
Without it having happened, you don't have the confidence in the situation turning out well. And so you're anxious about it.
But you haven't decided what those micro decisions would be. You're just anxious that you have to make those decisions.
Yes. And you sort of assume that I'm going to have to make all these decisions. I'm going to have to make conversation. The other person just isn't even there.
Yeah.
So that's also translates into social anxiety for people when it's specifically that is the thing they have a problem with. That meeting people is extremely hard for them because they can't plan how the conversation is going to go because you haven't known the person for a decade, right?
Yeah.
But they're very comfortable with someone they know. Generalized anxiety shows up with multiple things, like, and you'll see it with people who often like do this with their hands. They'll crack their knuckles multiple times in a conversation. They readjust a lot. So I do a lot of these things and like you'll only know now because I'm telling you, you'll notice. But otherwise, people can't tell that I have any sort of anxiety. And then there's panic. Panic is anxiety that builds up and then sort of, it's like a crescendo. Like all of a sudden, you sort of peak. And often what happens to people is they feel numb. So when you have a panic attack, what therapists say you should do and what my therapist used to tell me is to go put your hand in the freezer so you can feel something. You can splash cold water on your face. You should smell something like strong, like peppermint or menthol or something. You can eat chocolate, dunk a little bit of salt in your mouth. These things will sort of wake you up. Even lemon, very helpful. So because I used to have panic attacks a lot, I figure I understood the root of them years in.
This was as an entrepreneur or pre-Fix My Curls?
Pre-Fix My Curls, long time ago. I started, my first panic attack happened during an exam in school. And I couldn't really feel anything. I felt extremely out of it. And it was very silent panic. So it's not the kind where you're shaking and throwing things and crying. That's not how panic often resembles. Like if for other people, it's more like it resembles more just you're frozen.
It's very internal.
Yes. You don't understand what's happening. And on the outside, you look normal, but you look a little spaced out. And people can tell something is wrong. But often some people get flushed and red and everything as well. So I feel like anxiety in and of itself comes in many forms. It depends on what makes you anxious. But it usually goes back to your childhood. Something could have happened back then that you never really resolved or talked to anyone about. It can be something that happens at home. Eventually that manifests into some type of anxiety. And it's always triggered and it's slow, which is why maybe people can't explain it because it's not a very loud feeling.
Yeah.
It's very silent. It creeps in and that's the worst part.
I also feel that whenever someone tells me that they are anxious, because I have never dealt with anxiety, so I don't fully understand it.
That's so good. I'm so glad you haven't.
And I would usually just say like something very stupid, like, oh, just go through it. Or like, I'd be like very, like how usually my life would go. And I think it doesn't help at all, right?
No.
Or if I sit down and try and explain like, oh, you shouldn't stress about something you haven't really done. Like you just go through it and this and that. I think these are things that anyone knows. Like I don't have to reinstate them, but it's just such an internal thing that no external communication can fix it very quickly.
The best thing to do is to help the person regulate, sort of like if it's someone you're very close to, hugs help a lot. So if your like heartbeat is like normal and you're like very chilled out, if you hug the person, they'll regulate to where you are.
Nice.
So that helps a lot. So like you do it with kids a lot when sometimes they're crying, they're having a fit, they just need a hug. That's why they want to be held. So they regulate. It's co-regulation. And that's why when you sleep with a partner at night also, you go into deeper sleep because you're regulated with each other. So with anxiety also, you can hold someone's hand. Depends on how close you are to them. Otherwise, you can just tell them, I'm here for whatever you're feeling, whatever you need. Pretty simple. Because telling them to feel a certain way is very difficult then, because they're like, okay, I should be chill. Nahi. He said, just chill out. I should chill out. How am I going to chill out? I can't chill out. And then you feel like you need to put on a show, which makes it worse. But sometimes just being told, it's okay. It's fine. You can just be exactly how you are. I think that's what you need more than anything. But yeah, no, I mean, being an entrepreneur has made me realize that it was the best way to overcome a lot of anxiety. But I was on medication, and I'm a big, you should be on medication person. But
they don't sell Adderall here in India though, right?
They do, but it's called Ritalin.
Oh, okay.
I believe. And I was prescribed it. I never took it.
In the US, it's a big thing.
Yes, it is a big thing. And I mean, people do it for all sorts of reasons, but it's very serious. So caffeine has a very similar impact to Adderall and Ritalin as well. So if, again...
ADHD.
Yes, for ADHD. I mean, I'm not a psychiatrist. This is not a diagnosis.
Yeah. Nothing here is
a diagnosis. I'm not telling you to take anything.
It's a very casual conversation.
Yes. A very casual conversation.
Most time, I think for a podcast, we'll have to put out a disclaimer or something.
Please put out a disclaimer.
Like no one should trust
we are not medical professionals. Caffeine actually is a great substitute if you have ADHD. So your morning coffee, you zone in and do your best work at that time. And that's probably when you'll get the most work done.
Remind you want a second coffee?
No. No, that's why I had my first. So I've been really zoned in.
But yes, tell us, how is the team transition to now from using your parents' team and now to building your own?
Building your team is probably the hardest thing you will do, because after a point as an entrepreneur, you become a manager more than an entrepreneur, and you need to manage people and how they feel. And they are the people who are going to grow your business, because you can't do everything. So I think the first few people I had, I made a lot of mistakes. From my original team, only 3 people are still with me from 2021.
That's when you started hiring first.
Proper hire.
21-year-old girl hiring people in India. What kind of people were you hiring? How old were they? How tough was it to sort of have...
I was hiring, it was tough. I was hiring people that were 10 years older to me, 15 years older to me. It was tough, but I think...
were you hiring more male, female? Was there a distinction?
I obviously looked for females in every field, but I also understand the country we're in, and I'm not going to say that everything will just happen. There are some conversations. For example, you don't really want to put a female in a warehouse environment, a packing environment. You just want people to be safe. And I think these are choices you make as a founder as well. Like, you don't need to be stupid about everything. We have a great gender split. I think it's literally 50-50 right now.
How big was the team?
35 people.
Wow.
Yeah. So 5 people in the warehouse, 30 people in the main office. But out of those 30, 2 are remote. And I don't usually hire remote people, but these 2 people were very special. And the way that they contacted me, for me, hiring has become very intuitive now. And like, if we vibe, wherever you are in the world, I think the work will be good. But mostly if they're in person, I prefer it so that I can keep an eye on them. There are also people that I might not feel like we can be friends, but the point sometimes just isn't that. They're here to work for you and to build something for themselves, not be your friend. And I think beginning I was very like family banenge, family. And then eventually a few years in, so many horrible things happened with a few people where I felt very backstabbed. That I was like, ठीक है, ये family नहीं है. कुछ लोग हैं, but कुछ लोग नहीं होंगे. कभी भी नहीं होंगे, कोई बात नहीं. And जो लोग हैं, they are the people that I want to give a piece of my company to, and they know who they are. They know exactly who they are. And other people in the company also know who they are, because they go above and beyond For them, Saturday, Sunday means nothing. 9 p.m. means nothing.
I'm sure that also creates an aspiration amongst the others to be a part of them.
Of course, because they see the kind of opportunities I give those people. Because they are the people that will travel. They have endless budgets. They can come to me and ask for something and I'll say yes, just off the fact that I trust you. But that also takes years of working with someone. And the people I'm referring to have been with me for 3.5, 4 years at this point, which is a huge part of my journey. And they've seen me grow up. They've seen me cry. They've seen me be happy. They've seen me not be able to fundraise for 2 years because I'm a solo woman founder who was 22 and asking people to believe in an industry that didn't even really exist. They've seen all of it and they were still like, nahi, kuch to hoga. And those people definitely deserve it.
And this belief came from your working as a founder or the compassion that you have for your business?
The belief in them?
No, the belief they had in the fact that you'll be able to do it.
I think it's my compassion with people. Like, I am a compassionate person and I know that. And it's also been my downfall because I've trusted people who didn't deserve to be trusted. I was too nice when I shouldn't have been nice. I should have fired sooner and I didn't fire sooner because I was scared. I was like, nahi roenge. It's going to be a sad conversation. But karna chahiye and you have to do it. You need to cut the cord.
Tell us the story of the hardest firing you've had or the most uncomfortable one.
The hardest was the first person I hired. Eventually fired them. And they took it really badly, even though I caught them doing a few things. And they had become a very close friend at that point, almost like a co-founder level. Only person I think I would have considered at the time. I called them into my office. I said, did you do this? They lied to my face deliberately. I called 2 more people in and I said, you told me that they did this. So did they or did they not? They said, no, they did. And I recorded everything on a voice note. I recorded a 1-hour conversation. Played it back to the person when we were alone and I said, please tell me how you think you sound. Because right now it sounds like I'm sitting with someone who's lying to me and I really trust you. So what should we do here? Because either you resign or I have to fire you, which I think is a bit crazy. So just resign at this point. They resigned immediately and I got a 1,000-word email the next day, basically bashing the rest of the people that I was working with. Yeah, ki everybody's lying to you. Nobody has, like, everyone has it out for you, blah, blah. And of course, years later, so many of those people are still with me. And they're like, we saw the signs really early, by the way. And I was like, so why did no one tell me? They were like, you were too close. You wouldn't have believed us. You had to see it for yourself.
Has that made you sort of create some sort of a distance now?
Yeah. I don't eat with everyone anymore.
Wow, that was a great reel, by the way.
Thank you. I eat alone. Yeah. And I eat alone because I think boundaries necessary hai and I didn't keep them before and I should have, and they're gonna bitch about their boss and they're gonna have days where they don't like me and when they just want to make fun of me or say something about me, and they need to have space to do that. Otherwise, it's uncomfortable for everyone. And that's okay. Not everyone needs to like you. In fact, I know the people that don't like me as a person, but they work for me because they respect me. And they know that they're getting an opportunity here that they might not get somewhere else. That's enough.
Was it hard as a young person to sort of command that respect from your employees?
Yeah, you need to show up for work every day and do it despite knowing that someone doesn't respect you and that they're older than you and they think they're better than you. And there are those types of people who also will use your name to get other people to do things when you're not there. She said XYZ. I think we should do XYZ. And I found out about so many things later that now people who are very comfortable with me come and tell me, yeah, this happened, but I was scared because this person was senior and I don't know. Now I've realized, like, about a 1.5 years ago, I even set what is it called? It's like these rules you have for your company. And we have like these 10 like rules that we have to abide by. And one of them is
10 commandments.
Yeah, basically. And one of them is it's the 3 T's. I'm forgetting, but transparency, trust, and one more. And basically, I've told everyone that you need to be extremely transparent. You don't like me? Be transparent. You really like me? Be transparent. You hate someone else? Be transparent. So that I know. Because later on, if you come to me with a story, I am going to call the person in because this is what I do and they hate it. But I'm like, this is the only way that it's not he said, she said. and there's no bias. So if even tiny conflict happens, I'm often like, see, I'm giving you a week. Go down for coffee, discuss it and solve it, and then let me know. I won't get into it then. But if it's at a point where it's really bad, I'm just going to sit you down in front of each other, and then I'm going to mediate. And then we'll see what happens. I've done that so many times at this point. So many times. And I've seen a lot of tears. But I think that's just part of it.
So 35 employees now. How many products developed so far?
15, 4 more on the way, 4 more after that. 8 are coming by September, 8 more. And then launching something very exciting after that I can't talk about.
Nice.
So yeah.
You did a convention.
Curl convention, yes. So that's like a private event that we've hosted only twice for our most loyal customers on our D2C website. We just give them a call, ask them to come. It's sort of a place where we want them to feel like they belong. It's all about them. We have activities just for them. Like they can make other curly head friends, wavy head friends, build bracelets, give us feedback, chill with me. And these are people that have been buying for like 4.5, 5 years from the brand. We know they're loyal. So you're just spending time with them and understanding why you're still here. What can we do better?
Very interesting. You're very big on community. You've always been, and you're trying to build more things to sort of like hone into that, right?
Yeah. Because I think that's what it will be about at the end of the day, is that even if someone else's product is better, they will have multiple products on their shelf, by the way, every consumer, right? Like they will have multiple clothes in their closet. They're going to have multiple products on their shelf. You can't expect them to just be all about you forever. And I mean, I've learned to take that really well. And that's why community stuff is just to make sure they understand that we are much larger than just a product business. We care about you. We care about your journey. We want to be here for you so that you never go unseen again. And I think because at the end of the day, aap jitne bhi products bana loge, like you can launch great products, but at some point someone might launch a cheaper version of that. A very large company might come in and crush all of us and decide they finally want to enter this industry. They might acquire a bunch of us. What will be left then? I mean, it's community. People stick around for people, not product. So yeah, I think I've learned that the hard way.
Very cool. And you recently rebranded your packaging.
Yes.
What was that about? How did that process begin? Why did that process begin?
Well, over the years, again, 6 My Curls, I designed myself, very basic Photoshop, PixArt, a little bit of Canva later.
You call yourself a creative person?
I am a creative person, but I think I'm not necessarily the kind of person that creates to perfection at all. I create 50% and I'm like, isko launch kar dete hain. Dekha jayega. And I prefer that because I don't want to be late. I would rather be early and figure it out than be late to the party and just, it's all done already.
Is this because of your PTSD when you were launching your first products and everyone else started just like coming up?
Yeah, that for sure. And also just generally today, if you have a good idea, don't think you're the only person who has that good idea. 20 other people have that good idea and someone's going to execute it. So just execute it.
I think same thing with fashion I've learned is that every designer or every brand that comes out, they always feel we want to do a full collection, a spring or a summer. And it's also because of how fashion is operated. But essentially, if you have a good product and it's a good idea, you can begin with that one product, just put it out, see how it works, and then start building on it. Like not go full in and say, I'm going to do a 20 look collection, these many products, big shoot and all of that. Just a waste of money.
No, I mean, like, just as an example, I feel like this tank top of yours could be a big hit. I assume that it is in all of the versions. Like, I love it. And I think it's like a very summer staple kind of a piece. But sorry, I will go back to what I was saying.
No, it's interesting you brought that up because we launched it as an independent product.
It's so cute.
We launched it as an independent product outside the collection. And it was because once we did the collection, we'd only done 2 tank tops in it.
Is it doing really well?
Yeah.
Right.
And the 2 tank tops had traction. And I was like, oh, this is interesting. Let me just double down on this.
Yeah.
Do many versions. And it just picked up.
I mean, I just think it's like also because I'm sure you've seen glitter skirts, sequin skirts, white tank top, perfect. So if there's skirts that match the color of like the fruit, done. That's
Absolutely.
a set. That's what I would buy. And that's my outfit for the summer.
Well, I also feel like everyone I know for the past 2-3 years, every female that I see wears tank tops during summer, and it's like a thing that they'll wear to work, to a shopping mall,
Yeah, so
to
that
anywhere.
tank top with jeans or a sequin skirt, you go from day to night. And it's a very simple outfit. You don't have to think too much. You just do look good in it. I think the main thing is like people might want tank tops that are like lower cut for when they're like going out at night and all of that. So they want it to be like a little sexier. Yeah.
I think I should
To think about that. That's me giving you an idea. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot out there, but I feel like India, maybe people don't think of the simplest things in fashion. They'll come up with something very, very, very extra, but the most simple piece will sell the most throughout the year.
No, it's hard because I think everyone wants to sort of let their creative mind run as far as they can, but also your customer has to run with you. Like they have to sort of love their idea too, right?
Yeah, and I think this is also sort of part of the rebrand. How I thought of it was a lot of our customers would just keep telling us like, you know, your packaging could be cuter. And our investors eventually said it, your packaging really could be cuter. And I
It's been the same packaging since when you launched up until now.
Yeah, I never changed it.
You never felt it should be changed?
No, I did. I mean, I would look at very cute products when I travel and I'd be like, I wish. And I was just like, I don't have the budget.
I'm a very like aesthetic first person, even when it comes to like products that are utility oriented. Like I think there's the designer Rick Owens?
I've heard of him.
He's very popular amongst the design community. And I think there's a quote by him where he says, if it's poison in a nice bottle, I'll probably drink it. And
I love that.
So there's this brand, I'm sure you know, Aesop, right?
Yeah, of course.
I love how the pack historians
Who doesn't love Aesop?
I like going into stores.
Yes.
Just like everything. And of course, a girl will come and wash her hands and stuff. And it's for most guys, I know that's how the purchase gets translated. But overall, I just think the vibe of it and the products, the way they are packaged, makes a huge impact on me. Like it's very aspirational for me to say, oh, that's a product I'd love to have in my closet.
And you know that it's very overpriced. And you know the crazy margins they're making on that product. Because it's just a hand cream at the end of the day. What could you really be putting in it? And I think it's the same thing. I realized we have gold inside our tube, but the tube on the outside looks like crap. And I figured that 3 years in, but then I started talking to design agencies. I remember the first design agency I spoke to was in 2023 and they were quoting us 40 lakhs for the whole project.
Wow.
And I was like,
this is to repackage and design everything.
And I was like, 40 lakhs. And the thing is, they're a very good design agency and they've done amazing work, but I couldn't afford it. And I just, before the project started, a week before, I was like, I'm really sorry. You can keep the advance. I'm just not going to move forward with it. My fault. I thought I could pay you, but I think I can't take this bigger risk with you guys. And then Abhi, the agency that I'm working with now, is like a good friend, a senior also from school. And she has an amazing agency and she did an amazing job. And at this point, I could afford to do a big project as well. Because
I'm sure a friends and family discount.
A little bit friends and family discount, yeah. But also I think when you work with creators that are in the beginning of their journey, also they're willing to take more risks and they're happier to just do it for the long run. And like they know that the first few of their clients are very, very important. So I felt like
portfolio building, right?
Yeah, we were given just a lot of importance. So yeah, I decided rebranding karna hai. January 2024 we started. It took 1 year and 4 months to complete it because if you see the design, we have these bubble caps and I really wanted to recreate the bubble cap for us because if we wanted it, we would have had to get it from Korea. In China, they were like, you'll have to make your own mold also to fit our specific type of tube. So that mold costed a lot of money, took almost 100 days, and now we're here. But it's finally happened.
Nice. And then how long till people actually start seeing it everywhere?
They can see it everywhere at the moment, but the full transition and change will happen by mid-July because we need to change creatives across 15 marketplaces. All our distributors will have to change their creatives. We're getting all of the designs re-registered. It's almost done, but I think what we've promised is like 10th July onwards, you can actually get it. Sorry, 10th June onwards, that's very soon. You can get your hands on our best-selling size in the new packaging from our website.
What was the initial like inspiration behind the design language that you have now?
The inspiration was a lot of mood boarding of just expressions and people having a really fun time and feeling free in their hair, basically, how their hair looks, how wild it is, how frizzy it might be in its natural state and form. And I think we wanted to show that, but also still keep some semblance of a brand that looks expensive. So,
would you categorize yourself as an expensive brand?
As a mass premium brand, yes. I don't think we're a premium brand. Maybe some people feel that way, but our best-selling SKU is 510 rupees. So I think mass premium.
Well, India also is such a huge economy that I think mass premium might be...
I'm saying mass premium only for now, because I know if I say mass, people are going to come at me and be like, are you crazy? Itte mein shampoo and conditioner aa jata hai. So I'm just like, theek hai, it's fine. We'll get there someday. With scale, you can get there. You can become a cheaper brand. But
is there an aspiration to be a more economical brand that targets more mass consumers, or go the upward route?
Economical brand that targets mass consumers. I just think founders have a bad habit of trying to make the customer reach their level and understand कि आपको इतने पैसे देने चाहिए. That's not how it works. You have to go to the customer. And if you are not going to learn that, you're going to stay a small business forever.
But there is also a customer that already is willing to pay a higher price. They're just looking for an...
There is a customer, right? But I think it depends market to market. If you're in a market like India, you just learn the hard way. And you learn that learning comes over years, by the way, because you are extremely stubborn in the beginning. I was very stubborn. I was like, no, 1,000 rupee shampoo, of course it's going to sell. Of course it's going to sell. Years later, now I'm at the point where I'm like, how do I make this 600 rupee shampoo? Because it's horrible out there. I mean, the thing is, the Indian consumer is spoiled. The Indian consumer is price sensitive. And the Indian consumer is not there yet. There is a decade left for them to think that spending 15,000, 20,000 rupees on makeup, clothes, skincare, hair care is normal. They're not there. Maybe in the West, people are there. India is not there yet. And you either wait, take it slow, and see that rise happen where people from tier 2 cities are coming to tier 1 cities and tier 1 people are just getting richer and richer. Eventually, yes, you'll become that business. But it's if you want to wait. If you want to scale fast today now, the ideal price point is that Blinkit price point where you're paying between 200 to 500 rupees for a product. Even I'm saying too much, 200 to 300 rupees for a singular product, so that it fits in their basket and they get it in 10 minutes. And that's how everyone is scaling right now. There are very ideal price points, but I think when you're trying to build for the aspirational, you think that they should pay this amount of money. And I've thought that a lot, and those products have failed. They're still failing, they're flops, and they will not work. And I'm still not learning my lesson because I'm still trying.
But then there are brands like, Forest Essentials. What are they priced at? What do you call them? Mass premium?
No,
they're premium, right?
They're premium. They're premium, and premium mein you make a decision. Because premium mein aapke margins itne achhe honge, but then that whatever you save, you're gonna spend to build a store experience.
Yeah.
And then brick and mortar means profitability is decade away again, because that business is the decade-long business of brick and mortar. You can't play it the way you're playing D2C. D2C changes every month. So I think that's a decision we make, yaar. And also Forest Essentials has a lot of money. They have spent decades already building this. So it's just, if anybody tries to make that comparison and say, I want to be the next Forest Essentials, do you have the money to be the next Forest Essentials? It's a choice you make. And honestly, some people do have the money. They come from families who can give them 20 crores minimum over the next 5 years and so banao a premium business. But if you don't have that, like for me, my mom gave me 1.8 crores over 5 years. I made a business with that. So 1.8 crores eventually became 1.2, 7.2, 9.1, 15.5. That's what an investment has turned into. I'd say it's a great investment sheet.
Great ROI.
Yeah,
amazing ROI.
Great ROI. Impossible to get that generally.
Yeah.
But I was very careful because she was giving me her hard-earned money. Hard-earned money saved. She was giving it to me in increments, and I would only ask when I genuinely really, really needed it. But I eventually learned the hard way कि ऐसे हमेशा के लिए नहीं चलेगा. Because when I was raising money then, I was asked all the hard questions. And I realized, without mom's support, things would have been really difficult. Really, really difficult. Oh my God. It's so hard out there. And I think even what she gave me was big, big money.
And yeah, with building like, let's say, a very premium brand that has that aspiration, you could probably run out of 1.8 in like 6 months also.
Oh, yeah.
And not really know where it went.
Yeah, because if you host an event for the elite
Yeah.
and try to sell them skincare.
Yeah. You have my champagne, you do a
20
PR
lakhs gone.
agency, everything.
Bas, ek party mein 20 lakh chale gaye. So then how are you going to build?
You rent a store in like a Khan market or something, that's 12, 15 lakhs monthly rent.
And honestly speaking, today, if you see a premium brand in India, it's either that a celebrity's brother or sister has started it and they have the celebrity as like a co-founder face.
Yeah.
Occasionally running their ads.
Someone who can sell it.
Yes. And they know that. And so you spend less money, sell more of it in the beginning, and then eventually build trust without their face.
Yeah.
But not everybody is that lucky. Like if you have your own face and you're a nobody and you need to become a somebody, you need to sell to the people who don't know anybody. And those people are the masses. Like they also want to be a somebody.
Even then, I feel like it's a very hard thing to convince your customer. Like, for example, I'm sure, I don't know if you get these ads a lot. I get it because I'm a male customer. Nikhil Kamath wears a shirt from a specific fashion brand, right? And I think in the past year, everyone that I know, every guy that I know has seen that ad. And it's very aspirational.
I've never seen it.
And it's very aspirational, right? But then you go on the website and it's an absurd price for a shirt. And then everyone's thinking, can we really? Do we really need to? Should we? And then
you don't need to.
Right? Yeah. And then I don't think that, like you said, India is there yet. Like we're as a customer.
See, and I'm not saying that India doesn't have the capability to pay. Consumers can pay. It is just a small group of consumers.
Yeah.
And eventually they will move on to the next cool product and forget about you. So if you're relying on that, just be careful. I would say just be careful. And that's about it.
I think I recently read 60, 65 customers run like an Hermes or something in India. It's like very small pockets of consumption. But again, like massive consumption. So you could build something for that cohort. But
of course you can. But then again, I think...
Then you'll also be competing with all the brands in the world.
All the brands in the world that can provide that. Because that same consumer can fly out to Europe for a vacation and buy...
everything.
Something, right? Yeah. And come back and look at you and be like, yeah, I don't want this. I'm too aspirational. My aspiration is now to buy straight from Dior.
Yeah.
So then how will you compete with LVMH, yaar? You can't. And I just have realized that the type of consumer I am doesn't mean that I need to find consumers like myself to be my consumers. My consumers are living different lives. And I also want to provide for them. I want to provide for the 19-year-old college girl going to DU who doesn't have a lot of pocket money at the moment and can only spend maybe, 500 rupees on her hair care in a month.
Yeah. And all that mass premium sales with those net margins can allow you to have all the purchases that you want to make and like still run your own aspirations.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, today, honestly, having any profit is hard with the way that marketplaces are making you burn your hands. And some of them are doing an amazing job, but some of them are not. I think it's just you have to learn to play the game and stick it out. That's also where fundraising comes in and helps. But again, fundraising isn't for everyone. And I do believe in that. It was for me because I think I needed someone to show me the bigger picture. And once I saw it, I believed in it. But before, even thinking of 100 crores in revenue was like, I'm never going to do that. Like, ye kaisa sapna hua? Now I'm thinking 500 crores. What's the path? How much do I need to raise? How will I split this? Who do I need to hire? How many years? How many products? But I think you need someone to show you that dream and also sit on your head and tell you, ki, remember, we need to do this.
But you still always want to be centric around the curly hair community. That's the idea.
I mean, I love all hair at this point. I understand a lot of problem solutions in the market. And I think someday we'll branch out a little bit. Can't say how or when, but someday. Yeah.
When you do ship to other countries as well, right?
We do ship to other countries. We have distributors across the world. But like from our website, it's a little bit expensive. So we don't usually recommend people to buy from our website. But we're on Amazon.com, UAE, we're in Germany, Switzerland, Romania, through distributors. Yeah, Nepal, Qatar.
And you still get feedback from these customers, but because I'm assuming they go through a distributor channel, is it still tied in with the brand?
Usually the distributor gets the feedback, and if something goes wrong, of course, they let us know. But I think they sort of deal with it and manage that feedback. Yeah, we get a little bit cut off from the consumer at that point. So
Because I'd love to know like how an Indian brand is going like toe to toe, like whatever international brands are. And like you mentioned, there have been brands internationally that have tried to problem solve curly hair, and how an Indian brand is doing it, and what do customers around the world feel about
I
it?
think it comes down to how you present yourself. I feel like a lot of Indian brands, I mean, it's hard to like position this and not sound like negative, but there are a lot of people who don't have the vision. They're creatives, they're social media. It all feels like a copy of a copy of a copy. And just feels like, at least if you're going to copy from the best. Why are you copying from someone that's the worst? Because it's easy. And I feel like these people have the money, they have the time, they have the resources at this point, so they can do better. They just don't want to. They're like, saste mein bech denge, bik jayega, business banayenge. And I just feel like they set the bar so low for themselves. Then that's also why people are like, oh, I want to buy an international brand. And I never want that to happen again. I want to build a brand that feels just as good as a brand you see in a Sephora.
It feels global, right?
Feels global. You feel like you don't need to leave India to experience one of those brands. And that's what the rebrand hopefully has done for a lot of people. And that's what we wanted them to feel. That, oh, they don't need K-beauty to feel like they're using something really special. I wanted, even though we're in hair, but I wanted to at least give that to the market as a benchmark. That you can do this too. You can spend 100 days on a mold and invest your personal money in it. Because we have invested money in this packaging, a lot of money in this packaging.
And also that it can happen slowly. Like you don't have to begin off the bat with the best packaging in the world.
You can learn. You can learn about your consumer, right?
Yeah.
You can ask them, do you even want better packaging? Or are you really just happy with the product? And for us, it became, yeah, I want better packaging. I want it to look cute on my shelf. So once we learned that, I think, set it in motion. And it took time. Like I didn't do, a lot of people do a rebrand where they just change what's on the label and ho gaya. They don't change the actual bottle. They don't look at different molds. They don't look at like the kind of stuff we've done. If you speak to a vendor about it, they'll tell you, yeah, 90 days minimum for whatever you're asking for. And that 90 becomes 120, 150 days because
for India timing
is always double. So, yeah.
No, but it's nice. I think it makes sense to have that vision and to be affirmative enough that at some point I want to do this, because that's the aspiration or that's the brand that I'm trying to build.
I don't want to build like something that's just Because I feel like people look at Indian brands and go, theek hai. They didn't use a great photographer, videographer, not super high res. And I feel like I felt like that about our website and our products for a long time. Never the quality. Results were always bang on. But I always felt like, yaar, I want this creative to give international. I wanted to give big budget. I want us to look it. And now I figured out the tips and tricks to look it without spending big budget money, but it takes time.
But you also sort of checked your opinion with the customers, right? Like it hasn't just been you blindly saying, I want it to be this way.
No, our customers have said it, right? Because brands have come along in the last few years who have set a higher benchmark. They've done good things. So other customers have been like, oh, but did you see XYZ? Look at what they're doing. And that always made me feel like, yeah, I don't want to hear this again. I want to give them the best experience possible from my end. And even if this best isn't good enough, then chalo, theek hai, I tried. But this was the biggest project for me. Like for the last 1 year, 4 months, to not be able to talk to anybody about it except family and friends. Like it was just so difficult. I mean, we'd keep meeting vendors and they'll be like, kuch exciting karo. And I'd be like, aa raha hai, bahut exciting, aa raha hai. And aate. Like we're in 2025, but it's okay. I mean, I finished the rebranding in July last year. And then in July, one of our investors, he sat me down, he looked at me and he was just like, do you really think this is good? And I was like, I just spent 6 months on it. And then he was like, Anshita, it looks very similar to your current packaging. And I was like, okay, you're right. And then I sort of immediately put the brakes on that packaging, stopped it from production, everything. We restarted. We started a second time.
How hard is it to digest a pill like that?
Now it's easy because people will say all kinds of stuff to you, but you need to sort of sift through and understand what's constructive criticism and what's just criticism.
That's hard, right? Because I think I grew up on a lot of aspiration or inspiration from someone like a Steve Jobs, who's like, I am adamant. This is what design is. I know what it is, and I will define it for a generation. But then as soon as you enter business, you realize, no, people around you can tell you what you should do, and sometimes some things make sense, but it's hard to filter it out. How have you done it?
I think it just comes with what intention and what part of the conversation did they stick themselves into and say, Ki, you should have done this. For me, this investor genuinely sat me down and he could have allowed me to go forward with it. But he said, please have a think. Will you take the big enough risk? Ek hi baar karni hai rebranding. Theek se karo. And I was like, okay, I didn't take a risk. I genuinely took the easy way. Because I was scared. I was really scared. I was like, oh, I can't change the colors. How will people know which product is which? I can't teach them all over again. It's been 5 years. What am I doing? And then when he said that to me, I don't know why, I feel like it just gave me permission to take a very big risk. And then I did. I was like, okay, we're going to scrap everything. We're changing the logo. Sab kar rahe hain. I was like, let's just do it. Let's do a 180. If we're doing it like crazy. Then I'm going to do my dream packaging. So then in July, I started thinking, what's my dream packaging? What would I want to put on my shelf? And then I thought, I've always loved that bubble cap. And I was like, but ye kahan se milega? Then we started on the journey of finding Chinese vendors, Indian vendors who could talk to the Chinese vendors and go to China on our behalf. Drawings, mold, first time we saw it 3D printed, all of this was very worth it. Seeing it come to life has been very worth it. And I know for a fact that this is setting the benchmark for the next brand that launches. If they launch with packaging, we'll always be the comparison. And that's what I've wanted. And then someday someone's going to do it better than me. But it's because I did it good first. And I'm proud of that. I would rather have that.
But with you, the joy only lasted 24 hours, I'm sure.
No, yeah, it did. I think literally I was... the rebrand happened on a Tuesday or something. And then I met a friend last night and she was like, let's celebrate. And I was like, what are we celebrating? And she's like, you just rebranded. What are you talking about? And I was like, okay, yeah, we should have a drink. Let's celebrate. And then we celebrated. And it still felt odd to celebrate because I was like, ye to karna hi tha, isme celebration kya hai? But I feel like that's just my attitude with things. So
as an entrepreneur, how hard is to sort of come around your own emotions, navigate everything? You still feel lonely because you can't tell everything to your employees. You don't want to throw all that pressure on your family. How is it to navigate all of it and still be sane? Or are you
therapy? Therapy, seek help outside of your family and friends and employees so that you're navigating those emotions in a safe space with a professional and so that you don't take it out on everyone close to you. I started therapy a very long time ago. It's been very helpful and I recommend it to everyone. And I've talked about it very openly on my page as well. I've talked about the fact that I have an ADHD diagnosis, that I support medication. And I think there's a stigma around it in our country. You shouldn't pop pills. But those pills can change your life.
Fighting a lot of stigmas here, aren't we?
Yeah.
Curly hair.
I think I always have.
Popping pills.
I think I'm just that person. Literally, I feel like everything I do is...
You have an uphill battle.
Yeah, it's an uphill battle. But I feel like that's also why I enjoy it the most. I don't want things easy. I don't know. Maybe I'm wired that way. But I love difficult stuff.
But then every time you reach you do an uphill battle, it's like this is base camp.
Yeah.
Now there's something else up here, right?
Yeah. I just think that's how entrepreneurs are supposed to be. Because if you start resting, someone else is going right by you. But I have to say, I think slow and steady wins the race. Still, slow and steady wins the race, which is why my rebrand took a year and a half. I was like, koi baat nahi. And someone went way past me during that time. And I watched them. And I hated it because I was like,
You hated the branding or the speed that they need?
The speed. Because I was like, I could achieve that speed. Had I not spent a year and a half changing this, I would have been launching. Because I had ready products, but I couldn't launch them because packaging nahi thi. And I had to first reintroduce my original product before I could introduce more. So I just had to sit and watch bestsellers take my place. And lots of people came to me and said lots of things. And I was like, look, I've been around for 5 years. This is my 6th year. We'll be fine.
6 years into business, great numbers, Forbes 30 under 30, a lot of achievements. What's the next big thing on the scoreboard that you want to have?
The next big thing is a number. But I think numbers to hamesha aate rahenge. Like, but it is the number. It's the number, and someday to be in a Sephora or to have like big presence as an Indian origin brand in some other country where people are going crazy about the product and they're like, I want to buy this. I think that's the dream. That's a very big dream. It'll take a couple of years, but I think that's what keeps me going. If I set very tiny dreams, to hote rehta hai. Fir, I don't know. I like big dreams because then you also build the business in that way. Because if I want to build a business that can be really, really big in a Sephora, I need to have everything in place. It's not a joke. They're not just going to take anybody. So that's one big dream. And then I think 50 crores, next dream.
Very cool. I think the recent Hailey Bieber acquisition story was very, very sick.
And very inspiring.
What did you think about that?
I think that it was definitely going to happen. There are only a few names in beauty right now that everyone is crazy about.
What was the product, by the way? Any of their products?
I've seen friends use it. I haven't had the chance to buy it yet. I'm hoping this summer I'll buy it and finally use a few of the products. But I know that the hype is real and that the products are, some of them are very good, some of them are just on the basis of hype. But I think it also pushes the belief that founder-led businesses can do billions. And I think that's what she proved.
Well, personally to me, it didn't feel as much as of a founder win as much as of a creative win. Like I felt that
the creative direction is crazy.
The strategy that they have in terms of, it just makes you realize that social media economy is going to be huge. And what they've done in terms of creating the hype around their products or making smart products that can be shot or positioned in a certain way just drives sales.
True, but I also think they used Hailey Bieber because look, lots of celebrity brands have come and gone and failed, right? The way they strategically used her persona to build this aspirational it girl who uses Rhode. And she would plug in her own products and other products very organically in Get Ready With Me's. And that's what I love. She never shied away from using different brands to make you feel like, yes, Rhode is genuinely a part of my life. Even though that's literally her brand.
Yeah.
But the positioning was, I am who you aspire to be. From what I'm wearing to where I am to her nails. Her nails were one of the biggest trends of last year. I mean, one of the biggest nail trends were literally her nails.
Why has India not produced a knit curl that sort of drives trends?
We have some knit curls. We have Deepika, we have Alia, we have Janhvi Kapoor.
Deepika doesn't market her products as well as I think she should.
No, I don't see it. I think that hasn't
happened, right?
No, I think that
even with Katrina Kaif, I'd argue like K-Beauty is it does amazingly well, but I think it's more because of the price point that they have.
Price point and the product efficacy.
Yeah.
So there, I think Katrina is just was there in the beginning. She was the initial push. Yeah. The product won.
Exactly. Which is great. Like it's amazing. But I just feel like as founder-led businesses, I haven't seen anyone really like hone in and be like, this is a part of my life. And I am the person.
Like celebrity founders.
I am the person who you should aspire, or I am the it girl. I am driving trends. And this is my brand is associated with it. Does that make sense?
You're right. Yeah. No one has. I think they forget. Half and half karte hain. Like half the time they're a celebrity and half the time they're a founder. But I think Hailey Bieber was a founder 100% of the time.
Yeah.
As a mother, founder. As a wife, founder. And as a founder, also the it girl that you want to be. So she's juggling this business, and obviously, she has co-founders and they are the ones behind the scenes making it happen. But I think they knew they needed Hailey to be at the forefront to win. But they positioned her brilliantly. And we've watched it happen, right, for the last 2-3 years. And who was Hailey Bieber? If not just the people she knew.
Yeah.
Today, she is the person you want to know. That position.
It's a full change of who she is and what her placement in society was.
It's brilliant positioning. And the people behind it have done all of the work. She has listened, which is amazing. And most celebrities don't listen. I don't know who's going to come out doing that in India. I think we have people who could. Like, I think Janhvi Kapoor could. Depends. Someone has to lead her. There are very sharp people behind the scenes, I feel.
Has that also been your intent, or was it also your inspiration where you started doing your own personal content and putting it out there because you realized you are an extension of the brand, you are the brand?
Yeah. So there's this founder called Grace Beverly. She has a brand called Tala. It's an activewear brand. She has multiple brands. She has almost like 4 brands. She's 27. I saw her building her personal brand on both YouTube and on her Instagram. She has like 1 million followers. And she's been building it since she was also 19, since college.
What do you read?
I read mostly fiction.
I have read fiction in a long.
I always read fiction only because I need to just get away from this world. I don't want to think about work and stuff. So, yeah.
What else? You watch movies?
Yeah, movies, TV shows, a lot of K-drama.
Sports?
No sports. Tennis sometimes. But both Federer and Nadal have now retired. So I just...
There's nothing for you?
No, it's a little pointless. And what else? Honestly, our work keeps me extremely entertained and occupied that like I feel like I don't need a life outside of that. And sometimes I realize that that's a little sad. And then I'm like, okay, I should go do something this weekend. But I love work. I love going to work and I love my team. And we have a lot of fun together. We laugh a lot.
How big is your team now?
35 people.
Wow.
5 people in the warehouse.
Teach me, how did you start hiring and who did you start hiring? Like, how does that work?
You're going to have a lot of shit.
It's been, this is my first full year now. We've completed our first full year now. I have a team of 6 people outside manufacturing.
That's amazing.
But how do I go about, like, what did you start hiring first? What roles were you fulfilling first?
So for me, first hires, when I had help with accounts, etc., everything from fixed term, I had help. But then when I moved the company and started the LLP, then I needed an accountant, a graphic designer, and like a social media manager of sorts.
Graphic designer and social media manager are different.
Yes. So graphic designer will never know how to manage social media. I mean, some people do, but I didn't want a designer who only knew how to work on, say, Canva. I wanted a graphic designer who could do a lot.
Everything.
The serious stuff. Yeah, everything basically.
Also like editing your ad content and stuff, everything is done by one person.
Yeah, so that graphic designer was also a video editor.
Yeah.
Not a great video editor, average video editor, but this time video wasn't crazy. Statics was still the thing.
Yeah.
Images was still the thing. Video came in slowly after with IGTV. And I mean, I remember they asked me like a few days ago, could you give us an old video of yourself? And then that I said, welcome to Fix My Calls IGTV. And they were like, what's IGTV? And we have a 20-year-old who works with us. She was like, what's IGTV? And I was like,
this used to be a thing.
Old. Yeah, I feel really old right now, like telling you what IGTV is and why it's relevant. And I was like, IGTV was the original Reels. But that's how long the company has been going on social media. At least 6 years now. Feels like a very long time.
It does, yeah.
I'm going into my 7th year.
I mean, it's my first and it feels so long.
I think back then I used to think that, and then time just sort of
flew.
Just flew.
Social media manager manages Instagram.
Instagram, also she was managing talking to like anybody in regards to PR. She was managing like all of the events and sales we'd have, Q rakh rahe hain, all of the content, like planning the calendar. I would manage talking to marketplaces, getting us orders, talking to distributors, if any, because outside of India, the market was still very advanced in terms of like curly hair. Yeah. India was very slow, but not everyone else was. So yeah. After accountant was super important. I had
one accountant.
Yeah, one, and he was horrible. He was horrible. And
you were selling on how many platforms?
Amazon, D2C, this other smaller marketplace for just curly hair.
There is one in India?
Yeah, it's called Naturally You and Me. Yeah, it's just for curly hair products. They're all like
the very like name that sort of gives it away. Like Naturally You and Me doesn't really.
They're like NYNM is what they call themselves now. Wow. And that founder has also started her own brand now. Although everybody has.
Everyone does the Amali book, right?
We had a loyal customer who we invited to one of our events. She just started a brand a week ago.
Is it easy to copy? Formulation-wise, I'm sure.
No, and it's not easy to scale. I've seen so many people start and fail and shut down the business.
What happened to the 2 brands that were with you, like Arata and the...
Oh, Arata is a 75 revenue business.
Is that category still big for them?
I mean, they don't want it to be what it is. Yeah. The category runs a lot for them, but they're not understanding how to invest in it because they spread themselves very thin. And we share investors, so...
Arata and I share same ad agency.
Oh, which one?
Beyond. Well, they used to be with Arata, but like I think Arata and them have also a very like erratic relationship is what I picked up. They told me they've asked Arata a couple of times to go in-house with their advertisements, but then somehow they always keep extending, like just do a month more, a month more, a month.
I think they have their own way of functioning for sure. I believe in in-house everything. I mean, just because I've had a lot of agencies fail us, so I'm always looking for an option in-house rather than not.
Even ads for you are in-house?
Like all of the ads that are made.
No performance marketing, just running.
Like all statics are made in-house. They were being run in-house for 2.5 years. Then my most senior person, he left in mid-Jan, very suddenly, just resigns. So then I was like, okay, shit. Still haven't been able to replace him. Finding a replacement right now, but everyone is asking for between 17, 18. And I'm like, it's a bit crazy, but I'll have to pay it. How tough was like salaries and like all that initially? When like you had like graphic designer, how much were they asking for? Because I get like absurd kids also sometimes who'd like fresh out of college and they'd be like, ask is just like something weird and you're thinking, really? Tell me what's weird. Like, so we had a lot of designers, right? Like, so you get kids from NIFT. Yeah. And what are they? They'll come and say, we need 8 lakh per annum, 9 lakh per annum. And it's usually, I'm not saying that it's not justified, but I feel like for someone fresh out of college who's never worked in a firm, and also the way design works in a college and how design works commercially is worlds apart, right? So I just feel like I've had interns also from NIFT who have then gone on to say that if you don't give us an offer at this price, we're getting placements in college. And college में उनको बोला जाता है कि इतने placement होगी, but they don't get placements at that price. See, I think at the end of the day, it depends on the vision of that person, their portfolio. For me, there's a girl who, she is my best designer right now. Intuitively, she works the best. She immediately understands what I mean when I say it without me having to say too much. And she's an illustrator as well. She can do animations too. Her, I remember when she came and she had finished her master's and she asked me for like 65,000 rupees a month. And at that time, it was crazy money for me. I was like, I pay myself 50,000 rupees a month. But when I saw her work, I was like, okay, I'm going to take this risk. She's been with me for 3 years now. Nice. And now she's getting paid 1 lakh a month. But she's the kind of person who gets the brief so right that, yeah. Fixed? It'll happen. We'll just trust him with this now. Trusting. Interesting. Yeah. Because right now I have one person who manages my entire marketplace and website. Because marketplace for us is not big. January we started. Someday it will be. I don't know. Abhi was very like fashion. What the return rate is very high. I know. And fashion is terrible. Fashion is very terrible with like return rates. In website, we don't have that return rate as much as, because I think the Myntra customer is just so trained that there's 14-day no like questions asked, and platform also doesn't really care. So it's very painful. How's website doing for you guys right now? We're doing almost 1 lakh a day, 1 lakh one time. Crazy. So 30 a month. That's amazing. Myntra, I think last month we had this sale going on. We did about 8.5. But वो कटते like by the 14th day month, it comes 30-40% just goes off. Yeah, that's with everyone. Which is, I don't understand the math. There's nothing you can do because today, look, either you spend that 30-40% on performance marketing on Meta and you fuck yourselves over, or you fuck yourselves over on a marketplace. But on a marketplace, at least they have lakhs of people flooding in because they're putting in the money to bring those people in to see your product. It is the same thing across. I mean, you just have to build your price, keeping in mind that you're giving that away. That's about it. Like, and I learned that way later. And by then I had already had best-selling products. So I just had to very slowly figure it out. Like 5 rupees kato har saal. Slowly. Which is why my journey has been very slow, because had I maybe been like a business student, I would have known that unit economics is the most important thing, standard. For me, it was not that. It was results, standard. But as the years passed, I realized, shit, I don't have margins. My margins are like 65% gross margin. Horrible. And I was not going to be able to survive. I'm a business student, so numbers for me is, I did math. Okay. So, yeah, so numbers for you is probably still top of mind, right? But it's still, that's why like Myntra to me doesn't make as much sense, because it doesn't make sense, but you have to see big picture always. I think with this stuff, it is big picture only. Because at the end of the day, if you want to be, not everyone has to be, by the way, like, and I think now I've raised, so now I am on that path. But I'm sure there's a version of me that would love to have not raised money and just been a very profitable small business. And because I like my size right now of business, it's fine. I don't know if I want to be a 100 crore business, but now
You're on that track.
we did 26 this last year. So now
You did the series of doing 30 and then I saw the reel as well.
yeah, so we did 26, not 30. I never revealed what we actually did, but yeah, we fell short. It was very sad.
This was 26 from what, the year before?
15.
You still almost doubled.
Kind of. Yeah. The point was to double, and then we were all very disappointed. And I still took my team for the offsite, I promised them. But then I told them that, and now they're expecting a party for the rebrand. I was like, no, hit 3 crores and we'll do a party. But if you don't hit 3 crores, we're never partying again. So, because it was just sad at this point. Because I'll start having to lay people off, right, if they're not performing, and they know that. And now I fire, like, I hire, I tell people the probation period is 6 months long. And sometimes 10 days before probation ends, I fire them. Because I'm like, sorry, not converting you. But I'm only at that point now because I just can't waste time and money.
6 months is an acceptable probation to extend. I usually do 3.
I do 6.
You've always done 6?
Always.
I should start doing this.
You should. Yeah. Because you don't see someone's true colors until way later. And trust me, they show you the true colors. And there are some weird, crazy people that you will work with as you grow, especially, who will promise you a lot, but will never end up doing it. Like for me now, smooth talkers are some of the worst people. Because I don't, something feels fishy to me. Then I'm like, no, I mean, because the people who promise, they're often just very good at talking. But if you're a small business and at our sizes, you need generalists who know how to do. Talking ko seekh jayenge. You can teach them how to talk later. But if they don't do, they're not a doer, they're a thinker. You don't need more thinkers. You're a thinker. Founders are thinkers. That's what I've learned. And I've hired thinkers before and really regretted it and then have had to fire them.
And what are trends you're seeing in younger people you're hiring?
They're amazing at their jobs. They are. The only thing is I think they want to do it from home. And they don't understand having to wake up at a specific time, come to office and stay and then leave. So I was inspired by Grace Beverly. She has a couple of brands and she's built out all of them by being a content creator purely on Instagram and YouTube. And I remember sometime last year, an employee of mine came up to me and she was like, I think you should make founder content. And I was like, okay, but who will write the scripts? Who will edit the videos, etc.? She was like, there's this agency. So I connected with the agency. I was one of her first few clients. And yeah, that's how we started. She started scripting for me by listening to my storytelling and trying to copy how I would talk, turning it into a script. Then I had to start getting confident in front of the camera. And that started in July last year. I'm almost at 30,000 followers now, but it's been a really fun journey. I think putting yourself out on the internet is really beneficial for your business, but you have to be very wary that if you put out strong opinions, it will affect your business as well, how your business looks, because people won't separate you.
Yeah.
You and the business are the same at that point. So you need to be careful what you put out there, how much of your personal life you show. Do you want to have boundaries with your personal life or not? Some people don't, and they usually thrive on social media because they share a lot of personal stuff. But that also means that you won't really have a personal life. Like people will be interested in your relationship, in how you work out and what you eat and all of these things. And then they'll ask you for very personal advice. Today, for me, that looks like people asking me to mentor them. And a lot of people.
No, I've noticed, I think most of the female founders that I know follow your page is what I've seen. I think maybe the intention is that they find it more relatable, or they want to learn from your journey. They want to talk to you.
Yeah.
So, and like you said, you wanted to always be in front of the camera as a young person. So life has come full circle for you.
It's come full circle for sure. And I'm really glad to be able to create content and talk about not just the brand anymore. After almost 5 years of just the brand, I can finally talk about myself and how this has felt, but with a lot of perspective. I feel like if I had started in year 1, I don't know what I would have put out on the internet. I'm glad that I've had perspective and time, and now I create content.
We are from the initial thought of being a journalist or being on camera for it to now being a founder who talks about her journey and her brand.
And in a way, this gives me more free will. I think had I been a journalist, I would have been reading off of a document. Today, I'm still kind of reading off of a document, but I can change it if I want to. It's
Still very personal, right?
It's still very personal. It's my life, my story. How I want to tell it is up to me. And I think I like that freedom. And I'm glad things turned out this way.
For anyone who you feel is 19 or let's say just beginning out or trying to fight the notion of should I begin a business or not, is there anything you want to say?
I think there are a few things to consider. Why do you want to start the business? I think the question of why is always more important than how. A lot of people message me and say, how did you start Fix My Curls? I'm like, I think you should be wondering why. Because how to sab figure out kar lete hain eventually. But why is more important, and it's what keeps you in the business for longer. Another thing would be financially, can you take that risk? Because you may lose all that money. If you're willing to lose all that money for this dream you have because you're so passionate about it and you have people who trust you, or maybe it's your own personal money, just be ready for it to be a complete failure. And I think if you can sit with yourself and understand this will fail someday, because all startups fail someday. And I remember I heard someone say this to me and I was like, no, that's not true. And then I really thought about it and I was like, wait, kind of is true. It either fails or you pass it on to someone else or it gets acquired or, I mean, you die eventually, right? So you need to be okay with failure. And I think a lot of people start and they're like, I'm going to become a founder and I want to be an entrepreneur. And I'm like, but why? You just want it because of the fancy tagline? Or do you want it because you really believe in this idea that you're building? It's that. And usually the latter is what keeps you going through really bad days.
Yeah.
So you need to have that. So these are like a few things I think I'd consider and tell someone who's 19. Like it, and also I would tell them that if you want to learn about life, being an entrepreneur is the best way to learn about life. You will learn everything in one go. And if you're okay with that, you'll enjoy the journey.
Yeah. I mean, versus going to college and spending that much money on an education, you could probably use that money, try and build a business, learn everything.
Yeah, but I try not to say that too much because I think people will be like, oh, degrees are important and stuff. And yes, like learning through a specific system is good for some types of jobs and careers. But if you want to be an entrepreneur, there is actually no guidebook and no book you read on how to be an entrepreneur is going to teach you how to be one. You just need to be one. And that's the difference between someone who actually is one and one who isn't. Is the ones who are don't really start by reading a book. They just do it. And eventually they're learning. They're learning every day.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, this has been an amazing insight into how you've built your brand and your journey. Thank you very much for sharing this with us.
Thank you so much for having me.